Who are the top 5 attackers in Rainbow Six Siege? Fuze. Yeah, just Fuze. My name is English Pastry, and I'm going to be telling you guys the real top 5 attackers in Rainbow Six Siege and why you should play them. Roll it. You know I'm saying it. If you guys like the content, please like and subscribe. And while you're down there, tell me what your list is for the top 5 attackers in Siege. Now my list. When it comes to these rankings, I'm going to be taking into account their kit, ease of use, how necessary they are in attack, and their overall utility potential. Now number 5 on my list for best attacking operators would have to go to Thermite. The reason I'm putting him up here at number 5 is his exothermic charge. His kit is fine, he has a nice primary weapon in the 5.56 XI, he also has flashes and claymore, is his 2-speed, and that's about it. Nothing's overly special about his kit. But his main gadget, his exothermic charge, it is one of the most powerful and essential gadgets in Siege. It's easy to use, has few counters, makes a very large hole in any reinforced or soft surfaces, and he has 2 of them. He has the potential to destroy up to 2 reinforced walls or hatches. He completely opens up the playing field and possibilities. If you don't run a Thermite, you're going to run into a ton of bottlenecks. What I mean by that is that you'll have to walk through one predictable doorway, and if multiple or even just one defender is holding an angle on that doorway, you're dead. Thermite gives you the option to push through these main reinforced walls. You can completely bypass or just stop these bottlenecks. Another strength to this charge, how intuitive it is. Any beginner can play Thermite, and as long as they know where they should place the charge, they'll do a job just fine most of the times. And still talking about his charge, while there are alternatives like Habana's pellets and Maverick's torch, his is by far the easiest to use, fastest, and most effective. He's just essential to almost every attack. Any thoughts with Thermite? He does the necessary job of hard reaching like no other operator. Don't pick him for his kit, just pick him for his exothermic charge, because a lot of times you'll need it. On to number 4, and I'm going to be giving number 4 spot to yet another support player, Thatcher. I will say his kit isn't anything special. He has 2 solid AR options in the L85 and the AR33. Neither of them are elite, but neither of them suck by any means. He also has Claymore and Breaches, which both are pretty good and useful depending on what you need to attack the site. He's also a 2-speed, but when it comes to Thatcher, like Thermite, the kit isn't why you pick him. The real reason you pick him is for his primary gadget. His EMPs are complete hard counters to so many defender gadgets in the game. From Bandit, to Mute, to Mozzie, Jaeger, Maestro, to so many more defenders. He counters everyone, and almost no one can counter him. Not only is his gadget almost uncounterable, it is also extremely easy to use. It's a throwable that has a 5-meter radius in any direction, including through walls and floors. He's really a very beginner-friendly operator. You just need to know what he counters and when you should use his gadget. I actually made a guide on how to play Thatcher, so if you want to check that out, I'll throw it in the card above. Another reason why Thatcher is up here is because he does a job that no one else can really do. I said before, you can use Maverick as kind of like a pseudo Thatcher, but that's only for opening up main walls. If you need other utility cleared, sure you could use frags or open up from below, but Thatcher can often do it better and in just a few seconds. Just to wrap Thatcher up, he has a unique, easy to use, and very strong gadget that no other gadget in the game can even rival. Along with that, he runs a pretty average kit, but again, like Thermite, you should pick Thatcher really only for his EMPs. Moving on to number 3 on my list, and number 3 I'm going to be giving to Sledge. Now I will say, he would not be on my list if Buck still had his nades, but since Buck lost his nades, Sledge offers just more overall value in my opinion. First value proposition, he just has the potential to do an insane amount of soft destruction with his breach and hammer. That, along with his nades, which we all know how powerful they are, a solid primary in the L85, and the best secondary in the game, the SMG-11, he gives you a full package. I would say he holds the crown for the best dedicated soft destructor. Don't forget, his hammer also can deal with castle barricades, maestro camos, barbed wire in one hit, and really any amount of soft destruction you can throw at it. His hammer has a pretty long lifespan, so you will easily be able to do enough soft destruction to apply a ton of pressure on sight. Sledge also is very easy to use, but has a high skill cap, which I think makes for a great operator. And what I mean by that is that he's a very beginner friendly and simple primary, as well as a primary gadget that is very easy to use. But he also has the SMG-11, which is a high skill cap but good weapon to use, as well as nades, which can be easy to use, but more experienced players will be able to use them way more effectively. And while I haven't done a ton of comparison in this video, I think this would be a fitting time to quickly compare Buck's advantages to Sledge's. Buck has the advantage when it comes to efficiency and range of his soft destruction. And don't forget, he also can do it from below, while Sledge cannot. Now Sledge's advantages, he has the edge over Buck when it comes to kit, with the best secondary in the game, an easy to use primary, as well as an ever so important frag grenades. He also has a hammer that can destroy utility like maestro cams, castles, and more. Just based on that quick comparison, I think Sledge is just slightly better when it comes to everyday situations. Overall, Sledge is just a great soft breacher with a really good kit. Now we're on to number 2, which in my list is an operator I've been using and hyping up a ton since his buff, that operator of course being Maverick. Just quickly looking at Maverick's kit, he has a very solid primary in the M4, has nades, and is a 3-speed. The only thing you could really do to make his kit better would be to give him a machine pistol secondary. He outclasses nearly everybody with his kit, so that is one of the big reasons why I have him at number 2. Now the second reason I have him at number 2 is his primary gadget and the versatility that comes with it. His breaching torch does hard breaching, which of course is always a necessity. It can bypass mute jammers and electrified surfaces, while no other hard breacher can do that. If you want him to, he can open up quiet kill holes on any surface. He can open up long strips to apply pressure. He can Maverick trick a wall to completely open it up like a Thermite would. He can play as your pseudo Thatcher. I talked about it earlier, he can open small holes to get bandit barriers, electric claws, or mute jammers so your Thermite can use his exothermic charge. His breaching torch can do so many things, and if used right, it can be very valuable. The only real knock on Maverick you could find is that he's a difficult operator to play. He is harder to play than most operators. Using his breaching torch is way more dangerous, can take precious time in a round to use, and takes practice and knowledge to be able to actually use it effectively. But hey, that's why I've made a Maverick guide. I'll throw a card on the top right if you haven't checked that out and are interested in learning how to play Maverick. Just some summary thoughts with Maverick: amazing kit, very versatile and useful gadget, but hard to use. Next operator. And now number 1 on my list for best attacking operators in Rainbow Six Siege has to go to Zofia. You could absolutely bring her on every single attack and get a lot out of her. First, her kit. She has a great primary in the M762, and she has the best secondary pistol in the game, the RG15. She has breaches and claymore, 2 solid options depending on what you need. She also has a special mechanic called Withstand, which means she can revive herself if she is knocked. And that brings us to her primary gadget, the KS-79 Lifeline. The Lifeline offers a ton of utility. She has 2 impacts, which I would compare to better Ash charges. Her impacts have so many different uses. You can destroy maestro cameras, open up lines of sight, destroy barbed wire, anything. Her impacts are much better suited to destroy utility than Ash's breaching rounds or nades. You can get used to these impacts round in and round out. Oh, and that's only half of her lifeline. She also has 2 stuns, which can also be used for a couple of things, like getting info on rooms or areas before she enters, using them to burn ADSs, or just give herself an advantage in a gunfight. Her utility is easy to use, really good, and she has a ton of it. A beautiful combination. Now we're just going to do another quick comparison, Ash and Zofia. Now they're pretty similar. Ash has 2 real advantages. The first one is her weapon. The R4C, everyone loves it, it's just a little bit better weapon. And her second advantage is that she's a 3-speed. But that's really it. Zofia, on the other hand, she has ACOG, which I know Ash does, but not in her better weapon. And Zofia also brings double Ash's utility. Overall, and just in my personal opinion, I think Zofia is often the better pick. Closing thoughts on Zofia, she just has no real downsides. The only one I can think of is that she's not a 3-speed. Besides that, she is extremely simple, and I think is the great operator anyone could play, earning her my spot for the best attacker in Rainbow Six Siege. And now I'd just like to take this time to do some honorable mentions. I just want to touch on 2 operators real quick. The first one is Hibana. The reason I didn't put her in my top 5 is because I don't think she is as good as Thermite Maverick. She is good for opening hatches and lines of sights from a distance, and I will say there are maps that she is better on than Maverick and Thermite, but besides that, I think she just falls slightly behind the other hard breachers in some areas. The other honorable mention has to go to Ying. The reason I didn't put her on my list is because I just want to see how she plays out. She is really strong and I think slightly oppressive, and I think she could use maybe some tweaking still, so we'll just have to see what Ubisoft does in the future if they decide to nerf or change her. I'm more or less actually waiting for the developer notes, the WIMP delta, and ban rate charts or whatever. I'm interested to see how Ying performs on those. But overall, she is really just strong and definitely deserves an honorable mention, if not a top 5 spot. Now that's what I got for you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed. Stay tuned for a top 5 defender video coming your way soon. Remember to like and subscribe, and if you made it all the way through the video, comment Fuse Gang in the comments down below. Really appreciate you guys that stayed. And I will see you guys next time.